somebody does Om Bhairavaya Namah, that's a simple mantra anybody can do.
Om Bhairavaya Namah.
That's a Nama mantra of Bhairav Baba. Okay, you do few malas or something, say, and you do that consistently for 3 years. Your test is, don't expect experiences. Your test is that can you do it every day for 3 years?
How many times?
Up to you. That you determine. I'm not even telling how many times. Okay, whether you do one mala, which means that 108 times, 5 minutes ka puja karo, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever you do. But fix a thing and do it consistently. In the Kamakhya Temple, there is a certain, like a fair, like a mela that happens. A lot of people, specifically those connected to the field of Tantra Sadhana, Aughar Sadhanas and all, they gather together. It's like a celebration. They wait for the temple to open on the 4th day. Certain rituals are performed and the temple is opened on this 4th day. These days the crowds have increased even more because due to the internet and all things, people get to know that something like this is happening.
I wonder how. Sorry. Go on. It's another Rajarshi Nandy special. I don't need to introduce this man. He's been one of our greatest TRS All-Stars. This is a 2-part special centered around the subject of Devi, the divine feminine in Sanatan Dharma, in Tantra. There's lots to learn. There's lots of tangential conversations. This was a 5-hour-long conversation that had to be split up into 2 parts. This is the first part. Enjoy yourselves. And all I'll say is Joy Ma Kamakhya. If you're addressing a topic like Devi, you do it on a new day. You do it fresh. After yesterday's 6 hours of recording, we had to come into a slow day today.
Right.
How are you, sir?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
How's Bombay treating you?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Lot of rains, but good.
Okay. What did you think of the almost 3-hour Shiva/Bhairav conversation we had yesterday?
I thought it was wonderful warm-up. Because I was just thinking about it, then there's so many other things that came. That's how it is. Okay. See, like good art, the deities are like that. It's like the more you explore them, the more aspects will come to you. Some they will reveal, some you will know from texts. It's a beautiful journey. That's what sadhana is. It's a beautiful journey after a point.
Yeah. I'm going to repeat a question which I asked you yesterday while you and me were having dinner.
Right.
I asked you how you accumulated so much knowledge. Like, I think there's 3 things that work for you. 1, genuinely, you're an engineer. So you think in structure, and I find talking to engineers very simple. 2, actual practice. You have seen things and experienced things that very few other human beings have seen or experienced. And the 3rd is you have access to some very heavy amount of knowledge. And then I'd also say you can communicate it really well. But where does all this knowledge come from?
Okay. So before we start, a small 1-line invocation of the Mother Goddess. Kamakhya Varade Devi Neela Varvatavasini Tam Devi Jaganmata Yoni Mudre Namastate. This is the standard invocation of Ma Kamakhya. And because I connect to her most among all deities, so there's never a day when I don't worship her, wherever I may be, okay, in whichever part of the world. So anything auspicious starts with her name.
When you say worship, you mean you do an entire ritual or in your heart?
Both.
Okay.
See, this dichotomy that there has to be a separate ritual and there is something non-ritualistic, it's at the very initial stages people think like this. Afterwards, there is what is happening in the outside, in the realm of the ritual, and what is happening inside are absolutely coordinated. And without that specific thing, there is this invocation that I did is to be done with a specific mudra, which we call the goddess's mudra, Yoni mudra we call it. Okay. So it should happen this way, that the moment you do the mudra, immediately inside you there is a change that is happening instantly, and that is not going to happen in one day. That is what the practice is. There is no difference. Eventually you will understand the outside and the inside. And that is the first organic realization in Tantra Sadhana, in my opinion. It's not just inside. What is outside? there will be a coordination. The moment your Shakti changes inside you, there is going to be a change outside also. That's the first fundamental principle, I believe, of any spiritual process, in fact, not just Tantra, be it yoga, be it anything else. Anybody who is genuine and objective will notice this. Moment your energy shifts, everything around you will start shifting. There will be new people, there will be old people, changes, this, that. That's how it is.
It's the perfect way of saying how a spiritual journey can fully switch up your material journey.
Yes.
Things will be removed, things will be added based on whatever's best for your own spiritual journey to take place.
Correct.
I know that when it comes to the Devi's presence in your spiritual journey, it only enters your life after a certain point. That's what I've heard. Please, I don't know if I'm wrong in saying that, but they say that Devi Ma energy, any female divine energy, is not everyone's cup of tea to handle. So,
Okay.
do you think that's true?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
So let's understand this, that when we say Devi, there are various forms of the mother. So some amount of devotion to the Devi, I would say, is rampant across India, everywhere, east, west, north, south. Some, whether it's Ma Durga, Ambaji, some form, a basic devotional approach to a deity can be for anybody. Now coming to the other aspect, which is that you do sadhana. So sadhana and devotion are slightly different. Devotion, we use the word, say, Lokika devotion. Lokik means general devotion, in customary devotion to the devatas. Okay. So I go to Tirupati, for example, I'll bow down to Lord Venkateshwara. I am not a sadhak of Venkateshwara, but I can bow down to him. There's no problem in that. Somebody who may be an upasaka of Hanumanji is passing through a Durga temple will bow down to Ma Durga. It's standard. Sadhana is different. Sadhana is where you are trying to have a more detailed understanding of that force, power, that being, so that you are coming closer. And that requires a preparation of the mind and body, because it's like, sometimes I give this example, it's like putting a hand inside a tornado. Because then it is different. Devotion is fine from a distance, and if your luck is right, or the time is right, the deity is pleased, may give you some blessing. And a lot of people will say, I pray to this deity and so many good things have happened. That's all wonderful. But sadhana is not to get something. Sadhana is to transform you to become a reflection of the deity, because only then you can approach them. And then you will see that what changes it brings about, a changed perspective. Why? Comes back to the root question. Why did even religion, philosophy evolve? Because human life is miserable. End of the day. That's the one simple story.
The meaning of life is to suffer.
Yeah. How do I get out of the suffering? Change yourself.
Okay. How did you accumulate so much knowledge?
Coming to the question, I don't know. I think an honest answer would be, part of it is Purvajanma Samskara, which is, I might have been doing practices for many lifetimes actually. I do believe that for a very long time, because many of the experiences that I have had, when I later analyzed them, I came to the conclusion that it was not because of the sadhanas I've done now. They're not sufficient to produce this degree of experiences. They're things I have done in past. That, and most importantly, blessings of a specific form of the mother.
Blessings of a specific form of the mother. Yeah. A specific form, why?
So different forms will give you different things. Okay. They have their own potency. This was many years ago. I was doing a upasana, and I saw a form of the mother, and there was a specific sort of a benediction, a blessing that came, which helped me understand things more clearly about spiritual practices. And that's a form I worshipped in the past. It's a fierce form, but fierce kind of knowledge. Okay, it gives you a very deep knowledge of certain areas. Now, knowledge is not a problem. The problem is that nature can teach you a lot of things. You have to become objective. First rule is that you cannot be partial. Okay, you see the knowledge, nature will teach you everything, but doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and tell 10 people.
What do you mean partial?
Impartial you have to become.
No,
Okay.
you're saying partial towards some humans.
To anything.
Okay.
Your mind has to be objective. Your mind has to become objective. Objective means you are... it's like if you take the Vedantic route, I'm just trying to make you understand. In Vedanta, they have this idea of niti riti, not this, not this, not this. Okay. If you reject everything, then whatever is left is your Atma, finally, at the end of the day. Okay. So same way, rejecting means here that you are in the middle of a situation, you have your friends, at a basic level, for example, a certain degree of objectivity about life. Okay. Suppose I have a fight with somebody, and I end up getting hurt or something like that, verbally even, not just physically, I'm saying. Obviously, you'll be smarting after that. You'll think that, okay, I need to do. But suppose you are the guy who started the problem. Okay. So are you objective enough to recognize that, oh, boss, I am the one at fault? Mostly we are not. Okay. So this objectivity is something you have to work on oneself constantly and develop a certain degree of detachment to activities happening around. If that comes, and there is a level of curiosity in the mind. That is, see, nature is very smart. If you're not curious about these things, nature is not going to teach you. Nature has no job of forcing anybody to do anything that they don't like. Okay. Which also means that if something is happening with you now, it might be because you had wanted something in the past. Because the story is not about one lifetime. It's about multiple lifetimes. Okay. Then eventually what happens, at a stage will come when so you're curious about something, you're meditating on it strongly, and at a specific time there is this English word called, I think it's from perhaps from the Bible, I don't know, epiphany. How do I put it? In those cartoons you'll see a sudden tube light jal gaya dimag mein, something like that. Fatak. And you know that this is the right thing. It doesn't see normal mind functions in a way of friction. So in logic and friction. So A, this is the evidence for this. B, this is the evidence. I am struggling with balancing both. And okay, looking at the weightage of the evidence, perhaps this is the right thing. But epiphany doesn't work that way. It's like somebody just pours something into your head and it lightens things up. And there's a force involved with it. And you know ki this is the right thing. After something like that happens about a specific topic I'm thinking, I still keep it to myself and I observe and I see if I can test it and see that there is truth in this or not. Because whatever has to happen will also have some manifestations here. Only when I'm satisfied, that's it.
I love what you said about curiosity. And I think that my entire generation is at that point of curiosity, which is why podcasts like this are getting the views now.
Right.
Maybe last year it was about getting them to know who Rajarshi Nandy is and all the demonic spirits that he has encountered. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
We had to get people to get to know you. But I think 2023 is about deepening knowledge for everyone. You need to have curiosity. You need to be open to these things and then they will come find you. In the same way that this thumbnail got recommended to all of you who clicked on it. You were meant to get this information. And as we move forward in today's conversation, it's going to become deeper, darker, and a lot more anecdotal. Just before we move ahead, I want to say that maybe certain words will be used in this podcast. So I would highly recommend that you check out Rajarshi sir's first podcast we did, which was the basics of Tantra. And if you want to deepen your knowledge about the theory of Devi Ma, we did a very detailed episode with Dr. Vineet Agarwal last year. So go check that one out. But now we'll move forward.
Okay.
Why don't we begin by just talking about the Kamakhya Devi Temple in Guwahati, outside Guwahati?
In Guwahati.
In Guwahati.
Yeah.
Okay. You gave me a very special gift yesterday.
Yes.
The moment you gave it to me, my heart opened up to it. And you said that just place it on your chest, place it on your forehead. And when I did that, it felt like, at least for me, skeptics can never be convinced, but at least for me, it felt like something just encapsulated both my heart and my head. What did you give me? And what is the significance of that particular temple?
Right. So from the historical point of view, we have the idea of Shakti Pithas that we know of already. Most people are aware. Shakti Pithas are Pitha means a kshetra or place of Shakti. Okay, Shakti is Devi.
An energy center.
Energy center. Shakti can be anything. Shakti is like an open sword. So there is a lot of... When we say Devi, then Shakti is behaving in the form of a deity. When we say Ma, We are trying to get her to become like a mother to us. Just because you are saying Ma doesn't mean that she has accepted you as a child. That is the sadhana. It takes time. It's not that simple. So, 4 ancient Shaktipitas used to be there. Of these, Kamakhya is one of them. 3 of them are almost inaccessible, or we don't even know the exact locations. Some perhaps in Afghanistan area.
Wow.
Like this. There were 4 original Shaktipitas, very ancient. Okay. Of these 4, Kamakhya is the one that is still continuously worshipped and still a powerful Kshetra even today. Okay. There are 51 total Shaktipitas, but many of them emerged later on. And in some traditions, it is believed that not just 51, there are more Shaktipitas, 108, but they're not revealed to the world because perhaps the people are not ready to take them, or it's not revealed to all the people, masses. Okay.
Is it true that, if you visit all 51 or, even the Shiva equivalent temples, Jyotirlingas,
Yes.
if you visit all the Jyotirlingas, at the end of your journey, something happens?
No, it depends on the individual.
Okay.
So everything is, so there is our sadhana is a bit like Indian classical music. So what happens in Indian classical music? The notes are fixed. Okay. So this note, that note, this comes, etc. But there could be a terrific performer, a great master, and there could be a novice. There's a difference in the playing of the same raga.
Got it.
Okay. So finally, there is an individual component. Who is it that is visiting? Okay. Accordingly, for somebody, even the first visit may itself trigger hundreds of things. For somebody, even after going to all the 12, you still may not have an experience immediately.
But it's still important to go.
Oh, it's very important to go to the Kshetras. That is the one thing I advise everybody who's doing sadhana, and not just for Devi, just to slightly take this here. Whoever is your Ishta Devata, whichever deity you are worshipping, be it Ganpati, be it Shiva, be it Bhairava, be it Devi, be it Hanumanji, Lord Rama, Krishna, anybody, make sure at least once a year visit a powerful Kshetra of that deity. Stay near that Kshetra for at least 2 to 3 days and do your practice. Because by staying there, you imbibe the energy of that place into your mind, body, subconscious. Okay. And no need to do anything complicated. The same sadhana that you're doing at home, same practice, go and do there. But stay there at least for 1-2 days.
What happens?
You imbibe that energy, and once you come back home and you continue your sadhana, that is when you will understand the effect of it.
Okay.
So
now tell us about the temple.
So Kamakhya is very ancient Shaktipita, at least perhaps 2000, 2500 or 3000 years old. I don't know exactly. It is one of the core pithas of Tantra Sadhana, and not just any Tantra Sadhana, Kola Tantra Sadhana. Okay. Kola Tantra is one branch of Tantra, which is an extreme form of Vamachar. Vamachar is the left-hand path of Tantra, which we talked about, where things like meat, alcohol, fish, etc. is offered to the deity. Okay. It's a part of the sadhana, standard part of the sadhana. And Kola Tantras actually will tell you that this is, of all the paths available in Tantra, this is actually the highest. There's nothing beyond the Kola. Yes, it requires a certain degree of preparation to enter into Kola Tattva. Somebody who is not prepared, if they try it, they may fall down. This is again coming from the Shastras. Kularnava and other Tantras mention all this. That's one of the name of the texts.
By fall down, you mean die?
No. Fall down means any spiritual process. If you are not ready for that, you will have a spiritual and material fall from there. Okay. It's standard in all spiritual practices. Fall means you will come to a state which is worse than what you were starting, spiritually and otherwise.
How can it affect you materially?
So materially means, because as I right at the beginning, just I was mentioning, the kind of energy your consciousness imbibes is going to reflect in your surrounding. The moment you have a fall, automatically it is also going to, after some time, it is going to reflect in your surroundings, whether it's your material life, your friend circle, or whatever it is, or relatives. Many things can happen. Suddenly you may have a disease out of the blue. Some other problem emerge at home or in these circumstances, in the surroundings, environment, etc. So a lot of things. So that is a fall. That is why the idea of spirituality is not to go at rocket speed. Go at a speed that is suitable for you, which you can digest. Whatever you are doing, you have to digest it. like we were discussing yesterday about in Jyotish, we're discussing about Rahu. Rahu is a graha that cannot digest because it doesn't have a body. It eats, but it can't digest. So our aim is not to become like that. Eat as much as you can digest. Okay. So, and obviously it depends on individual to individual. Different people have that because we come from many past lives of sadhana. Okay. Some may have started one lifetime, some may have started 10 lifetimes ago, things like that. So from that time onwards, Kamakhya has been one of the most powerful pithas. It is believed that the yoni of the goddess, the womb of the goddess, actually fell in Kamakhya, because the idea of Shakti pithas is that when Sati was, she immolated herself, Shiva took the body of Sati and became very angry, and that is when Vishnu came and cut the body of Sati. 51 pieces were there, and they fell in different parts of India. Okay. Of these, the yoni fell in Kamakhya. So that makes it an extremely potent kshetra, perhaps the most potent kshetras, and capable of holding the energy necessary for certain kinds of sadhanas, which you cannot do in many other places. Okay. Kamakhya is one of the most important, just recently concluded festivals that happen. It's also famous for that. It's believed that once a year for 4 days, 4 days, inside the Garbhagriha of Ma Kamakhya.
What does that mean?
Garbhagriha means the sanctum sanctorium, this innermost place. So at the innermost place of the Garbhagriha of Ma Kamakhya, there is no vigraha, there is no idol. It's a cave, and there's a natural water that comes in. Okay, there's a naturally formed in one of the tantric texts called Yogini Tantra from 15th century. There is a whole chapter giving detailed description of what is there in the Garbhagriha and the hill of Ma Kamakhya. It's called the Neela Parvat. The mountain is called the Blue Mountains. Okay, Neela Parvata Vasini, she who lives on the Blue Mountains. Okay, and inside the Garbhagriha there's a water that comes out. Specifically, on those 4 days the water turns reddish. It's as if there's a woman who is having her menses, and the temple remains closed in those 4 days. So nobody is allowed to enter into the Garbhagriha. But because it's like a time of rejuvenation. Okay, it's time when the energies are gathering together, so like a new creation is happening.
Purification.
Sort of, look at it that way. So during that time, certain restrictions are followed in sadhana, in food habits. Those who connect to the Kamakhya Pitha, those who connect to Ma Kamakhya, they follow. For example, homas are not to be done in that time. Many often, especially in older times in eastern India, not just in Assam, even Bengal, and even perhaps in certain parts of Bangladesh before partition. So women would maintain, eat food that is very light, follow certain restrictions, not meeting too many people and things like that, those 4 days. In many temples, not all, but many temples, the vigraha, the idol is kept covered in those 4 days. Okay, so no new religious festival is done in those 4 days. That is not a time when you start any sadhana. If there's something you are doing already, nitya upasana, that is, say daily you are worshipping Ma Kamakhya, whatever it is, that will continue. But it is not a time when you start something new, and it is not a time when you actually do homas and things like that, more complicated rituals. Basically, that is, those 4 days are when it's like the earth is regaining its powers. Okay, as you said, a kind of purification sort of kind of thing. Okay. Also at that time in the Kamakhya temple, there is a certain like a fair, like a mela that happens, and a lot of people, specifically those connected to the field of Tantra sadhana, Aughar sadhanas and all, they gather together. It's like a celebration. Okay, time of celebration. They wait for the temple to open on the 4th day. Okay, certain rituals are performed, and the temple is opened in this 4th day, and a lot of people come there. These days, the crowds have increased even more, because due to the internet and all things, people get to know that something like this is happening.
I wonder how. Sorry, go on.
I'm saying,
but go on.
So Unfortunately, though, a lot of people don't know what is the significance of this time, what to do and what not to do, things like that. But I guess somewhere down the line, it is the will of the Devata. Ma Kamakhya wills it, that is why it is happening. If she wanted that nobody is to come here, she'll make sure that nobody comes here. She's that powerful. She's a completely, in Hindi, normal sentences, normal parlance, we say ki Jagrit Devata. So, she's extremely powerful. I mean, extremely powerful to the sense that for a normal human being, there's only a percentage about her you can know. You can't know beyond that. Let's just put it this way. It's unbelievable. If somebody has some little bit of realization about her, okay, and it can come to anybody, because as I said, what is your Purvajanma Samskara, who knows? You might have been doing, somebody may have been coming to Kamakhya for the first one lifetime. Somebody may have been coming for 1,000 years, who knows? Okay. Accordingly, but she is aware. Every moment, whoever comes there, she is aware ki she does. The Devatas don't see you like you are. You see me and I see you and something like that. They see where are you coming from? Who is it that you were in your past? What have you done? Okay, where is there any past connection? Everything they see, and in the current momentum, where exactly are you heading? That also they can see in the future. So she is extremely potent goddess. There's no limit to what she can do and cannot do. Those who have had any experience with her genuine, they will know. And it's not a statement of happy faith. So one is that I can say that, I believe in the deity and I have a lot of faith in her. That's wonderful. But there is another faith that comes after seeing some things. Then you bow down in reverence. Ye majak nahi hai. This is something else altogether.
Before I ask you about what you've seen, I will ask you again about the gift.
Right. So coming to that point, so after the 4th day, during those 4 days when the water turns reddish, there are cloths kept there, and that soaks in that water, and that is later distributed to people who are interested or who know what to do with this. These days, that is called the Rakta Vastra. Rakta is blood. Cloth. Okay, cloth of blood, cloth of Ma Kamakhya. Okay. Earlier times it used to be, even now, earlier times it was a little difficult to get. These days it's more easy to get, especially people who do Tantra Sadhana. And I mean Tantra Sadhana. When I say Tantra Sadhana, I don't mean all, that Jadoo Tona type of very negative image that is created in movies. No, not that. Okay. The actual Vidya of Tantra, which is very powerful, very beautiful. For them, that is one of the most prized things. I have that cloth, if you have faith in it, it's got exceptional blessings of the mother in it. And I know a case, for example, one of my friends, he was telling me this some year or so ago. So I think it's his home or somebody close to him. So they felt that there's some negative presence in the house, some spirit or something like that. Weird things started happening. Foul smells used to appear out of nowhere. People were getting disturbed, things like that. Somebody gave them a cloth of that this Rakta Vastra of Ma Kamakhya. All they did was kept it in the puja room. Put one agarbatti, one diya, just like that, like a deity, and just prayed to it for a few days, and that problem completely vanished. That is very, very, very powerful. It's charged with power. It's charged with her blessings. If you have faith in it, it can heal, it can do anything. It can even accelerate your mantra sadhana. There is no limit to what she can do. Okay. There is no limit to what she can do.
Effectively, it's fair to say that this is a yantra.
Yes, but more than a yantra. Yeah, in a way you can say it is a yantra.
A yantra, for those people who've not seen the intro to Tantra episode, is effectively an instrument, a tool which helps further your tantric practices.
Yes.
Tantra sadhana.
Yes.
When you're talking about tantra, you're basically using the word tantra in its real form, which means technique.
Right.
Am I right?
Right.
Yantra are the tools used in the technique.
Correct. One of the tools used.
Okay.
It's basically a diagrammatic representation of the deity.
Yeah. A symbol.
Correct. A symbol associated with the devata. And then the yantra, there is a pran pratisthapana done on it. So invocation of the deity into the yantra, there's a specific process. Once the pran pratisthapana is done, then the yantra is alive. Then you have to treat it like a devata.
Okay. Again, I do this very hesitantly, but it's for the better understanding of the viewers. There's a Tarama Murti in front of me, which has been there for all our episodes pretty much now. This is a Tibetan statue of Tarama.
Right.
I showed it to Palgar Rinpoche I showed it to Palga Rinpoche, who is a Buddhist monk who's been guiding me and teaching me about that school of thinking. And they have their own version of Tantra. It's called Buddhist Tantra, Tibetan Buddhist Tantra.
Vajrayana.
Yeah. When I showed him this statue and I pick it up with respect, he explained the meaning of the statue. But more interestingly for the viewer, he lifted it upside down and here we have a symbol. I don't know, is the camera catching it? It's catching it. There is a symbol right here. And then he did this. He kind of shook it. And he said that in Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism, they actually put scrolls inside where they write mantras on those scrolls.
Okay.
And when he saw this, he lifted it up. He said, okay, this one is definitely fully charged. And my only reason for bringing this up is to explain yantras better and to explain that Tantra is not just limited to India or Hindu thought. Tantra, of a version of it, has developed in the Gulf, in Africa, in Tibet, in South America, in North America.
Well, there is a version, there are certain practices, let's put it this way, there are certain practices developed in different places which have similarities to our Tantra sadhana. That we can say. And the Tibetan Vajrayana practice, to my knowledge, I have limited knowledge, I don't practice Vajrayana. So they had sort of the same geographical area where it kind of started off. Okay.
Which is North India.
North India, more Eastern India. Okay, towards the Bengal side, the Pala Empire, we had kings who were both Buddhists and Hindu at the same time. They used to encourage both practices. Okay, there was the Nalanda and other places, and then eventually historical things happened and all that, and they had to the monasteries were broken and they had to shift to Tibet, and then they perfected their practices, and of course it diverged at the philosophical level. There is a divergence because Buddhism has its own philosophical path, whereas Hinduism Dharma has its own slightly different philosophical understanding of these things. But yeah, that is also Tantra sadhana. That is Buddhist Tantra.
Okay. You know how we said Tantra means technique. So I'm sure like the way it's developed in the Gulf or Africa, they have their own set of techniques that they probably call a different name or anywhere all over the world.
Yeah.
Because the human story is extremely old. If you look at it from a very macro point of view, I think it's confirmed that the first human being there's evidence related to this. The first human being walked the earth 2 lakh to 3 lakh years ago.
Okay.
Somewhere in that timeline. That's a very long time for occult techniques to develop.
Right.
Things that take you beyond this realm. Because even a hunter-gatherer who didn't have a place to stay, who went from one place to another, at some point would have thought, why am I here? Why am I born into this realm with these blue skies and these green trees? And then had questions about himself or herself. That's where religion, spirituality, and therefore the occult techniques began. Am I right to say all this?
In a way. If I phrase the same thing, so there is a certain organic development of Tantra like practices in different places. So I would not always use the word Tantra for the simple reason is more of a sense of respect for that culture because they may have their own word for it. And remember this, that whenever there's a technique that comes, a technique also is accompanied by certain philosophy that's embedded in the technique. And that philosophy, that specific culture, that people is also going to mold that practice to their understanding. And that is human. That is perfectly all right. That is the way it is to be done. Okay. So there may be religions that will consider Tantra to be completely black magic. Okay. So you cannot, without their approval, you cannot use the word directly that, okay, you are also doing Tantra. Tantra has a very positive connotation in our space, even though, even within broad Hinduism, people have all sorts of ideas about Tantra. Thankfully, it is changing a bit. In Tibetans also, they call it Tantra. I guess they call it Tantra Vajrayana practices. So that is fine. So my only idea is that whenever a word is to be used, it is to be used considering that is the native practitioner using something like that? Okay. We can say Tantra-like practices are there.
Okay. For this podcast, let's call it occult practices.
Occult practices, yes. It's a very integral part of Tantra. And there is one very important practical distinction that comes in over time between sort of the standard religion, what we understand, and Tantra. And that goes for all places where this has happened, which is so... because of the prominence of Shakti Upasana. Mind you, Tantra can be there in Hinduism, for example, can be. So there are Tantric pujas, mantras, etc., even for Lord Rama. He was a completely Vaishnava deity. And there are mantras for his, for the weapons he holds. For Krishna, there are specific mantras, etc. One of the most popular mantras of Krishna comes from the Tantra, by the way. Okay.
Which is?
I will not mention the mantra, but it's an 18 akshari. Everybody, all Vaishnavas know it, by the way. I'm sure.
Hare Krishna?
No, that's not. That is the one that was given to everybody to chant. You don't need specific things, but there is a specific mantra of Gopala, form of Krishna, which is beautiful. If you do the sadhana of it, I've done it once. It's wonderful. The right way, if it is correctly done, you will start having certain experiences of the deity. So Tantra is a way of approaching a devata. Tantra is not a standalone. Along with it, there is mantra sadhana, there is yantra, and of course, there is an overarching philosophical aspect of it. Tantra also, on a practical aspect, Tantra looks, as I said, it looks at the surroundings. Okay, it's the belief is that the mother, which we call Mahashakti, she has created this world. So she is the one who has come here and formed everything. But while forming, she has sort of curtailed her own powers to this level that there is almost everywhere there's ignorance. So you don't know who is God, you don't know who you are, you don't know nothing. But this you is also her, but in a constricted manner. You, as an individual, you have the, not going very deep into the philosophy, but as an individual, as a sadhak, your job is how do I unfold this? And this will happen through two ways. One, your effort and blessings from the devata.
It's a way of saying your body, mind and soul are capable of evolution.
Yes.
It's already inside you. The potential, that software is already inside you.
Correct.
Are you willing to put in effort and
right,
belief and emotion into
right,
unlocking your true potential?
Right. Okay. And that is why, for example, as we were discussing, the great masters from Kashmir, one of their philosophical terms they used was that the final stage is recognition of Shiva, recognizing that you are Shiva. So you are not discovering, you are recognizing.
Through unlocking your own Shakti.
Yes, through the practices, because Shakti is the gulf between that and she is the one who has come down. Okay, she is the one who has created everything. Now, it is important to understand this because there is a difference from another religious view where there is a divine or a god or whatever, creator, whatever you believe, who is outside of the system. That is not part of Tantra. Tantra doesn't look at it that way. Yeah, we believe that there is a mother who is immanent. Immanent means embedded inside, who is also transcendent, is outside. Both are equally true. And our job is we start with the immanent and slowly move upwards through sadhana.
So at the end of your sadhana, not at the end, when you reach a certain point of progress,
your
Kundalini awakens.
Yes, Kundalini awakens. Yes, that is there. That will happen.
And this is what you're trying to say in terms of you unlock your own Shakti.
Yes. What I'm trying to say is that Tantra starts with... So Shakti Upasana is like this. This is something I read in a very nice commentary on a book on Tantra in Bengal. Bengal has some of the finest books on Tantra, perhaps, because the practice has been going on for a long time. Okay, commentary I was reading. So the gentleman writes a fantastic, beautiful paragraph, the commentator. So he says that Shakti Upasana's beauty is that once you start Shakti Upasana, your experiences will start very fast because Shakti is here. Without Shakti, you can't even sit in the chair. Shakti is everything, is energy. It's movement. Okay? Force that is causing you to move. Everything, your thoughts are moving. The earth is moving. Everything is moving because of something, the force that is creating this movement. That is Shakti. Okay? Ishvara, on the other hand, is more transcendental. He is at a very high stage. He is not going to come down so easily. A general perception. There may be some philosophies which believe slightly differently, but not going to so much nuance at the moment. But so Ishvara is more transcendental aspect. Okay,
supreme.
So this is also supreme. It's your understanding that is not seeing it as supreme. Okay, this is supreme. That is supreme. It is not that is only supreme. That it's just two flavors of a reality. Divinity. Okay. One is transcendental flavor and one is immanent. Immanent means it has embedded itself into the universe. Okay. It is there in everything, but you can't see it. But then you can't see the transcendental also. Okay. So transcendental, you have to lift yourself up to that realm and may get an experience. And there is anugraha that comes, grace that comes from the transcendental divine. Okay. Because of this, there are not just parts of Hindu philosophy. There are other religions which function in the same model. There is a creator outsider who's doing something and is sending guiding a religion or guiding humanity. Okay. Tantra doesn't start from there. It starts from here. Finding the divinity that is inherent inside the earth, inside creation. So Tantra does not believe in Maya. Tantra says Maya is a play of Shiva, a play of Shakti. This world is real. It is not a figment of your imagination. It is not a dream. It is not a delusion. No, it is absolutely real. It causes a certain amount of attachment to you. You have certain attachments, and that gives you a lack of clarity, lack of objectivity. Slowly through sadhana, you peel off all the things that are obstructing your consciousness, chains that bind your consciousness. You slowly start becoming free. Okay, so this is more or less the idea. So Tantra sadhana, coming to the point from where we started. So a practice that may have been prevalent perhaps in ancient Egypt, or as you mentioned, Africa, other places. So when you see something that takes into account the organic environment in which it is happening, and elements from that environment, and use elements from the environment, that is very much Tantra-like. On the other hand, if you believe that no, all this is whatever is there around me in the physical plane is all ignorance or wrong, and there is a creator who is outside and above, etc., and I only do worship of that creator, that is not Tantra.
Got it. Okay. There are tribes present in India today as well.
Okay.
In like the deep forests. They also engage in a format of Tantra?
You can call that. Tantra is very vast. So as we had while the central idea of Tantra is to worship the devatas in a very real manner, there is also darker aspects also involved in it. So yes, there are tribes who practice Tantra. Tantra is very similar to even the folk religions. That you can call them various folk religions that are there, are also highly influenced by Tantra, or that's a form of Tantra. Folk Tantra, you can call it, something like that. Something that starts with an organic understanding of your environment. Your place, Desh, Kal becomes very important. What is the place? What is the time? A tantric ritual when is to be performed. One of the things, most key ingredients is that what is the time? Time means, as we were discussing, devatas have their own tithis and all that. So if you have to worship Ma Kali, for example, Amavasya is a very good time. Amavasya is new moon is ideal for her. Okay. So for some other deity, it could be something else. So time becomes crucial. Ingredients become crucial. Ingredients means what is it that you have to offer to her? What is it that she likes? Okay. What are the things that a specific deity needs? What are the mudras that they need? Okay, what is the mudra that she likes? What is the mudra that somebody else likes, etc.? So various things.
Mudra is a formation of your fingers and hands.
Gesture, a kind of. Okay, so like that, various mudras are there. So one mudra is to offer something to the deity. One mudra is to invoke the deity. Okay, and as you keep practicing, it will resonate with certain things, changes that will occur inside you. So there is not going to be a difference. The moment you do the mudra, immediately inside you will see a specific type of vibration that is happening, and you know that there is a connection that is being formed.
Okay. You know that one of the stereotypes with Bengalis is that there's two stereotypes. The first one is that they're very good looking, and the second stereotype is that there has been a lot of tantric practice in Bengal.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been tantric practices all over India, but it's just survived in Bengal.
You can call it that way, yes.
What do Bengalis know that the rest of India doesn't know? Do you guys have this kind of conversation more often? Like, is it more free-flowing?
In some, depends. Not all places, but yeah, in some places in Bengal, there is a more organic acceptance of Tantra, which is not there outside of Bengal. In many places. So the word Tantra automatically evokes fear or mixture of, that thing. But not necessarily, because one of the other reasons is that Ma Kali is so widely worshipped in Bengal. She is like one of the Adhishtatri Devis. Adhishtatri means one of the goddesses of that geographical location. Okay, let's put it that way. So obviously, if you have devotion to Kali, Ma Kali, Eventually, somewhere or the other, the concept of tantras will start appearing in your life.
Wow.
There's no question. That is her path. It is Shakti who has created this path and who loves this path. So obviously, if you are, especially Kali, Ma Kali, if you worship, if you keep worshipping, eventually on your own, there will be certain transformative changes towards, I'm not saying you'll knowledgeable in Tantra, that though depends on a lot of other factors, but your mind will become more open towards acceptance that this is a valid path.
Maybe to understand your world better, now we get into your experiences a little bit.
Okay.
Whatever you can reveal. Maybe before we get into the experiences, I want to talk about the outcomes of last time's podcast series that we did. We did 5 episodes.
Yeah.
All of them had anecdotes and experiences.
Yeah.
Do you think it attracted some negative energy towards you? Because we were talking about negative things and addressing negative energies?
Yeah, perhaps to some degree. Okay. So negative energy attraction, well, not negative, but let's say that, yeah, there were a lot of people with a lot of problems involved in related to spirits, black magic, who tried to contact me for help. On the other hand, as I keep repeating after that, in fact, because there was such an overwhelming amount of emails, I couldn't even read. When I open my mailbox, it's like flooded. Randomly 1 or 2 I can pick up. That's like humanly possible to do. Okay. Majority of them were related to these kind of some negative influence going on, and etc. And these things are not easy to deal with, by the way, because they involve a lot of expenditure of your own energy. And you only, as a human, you have only limited amount of energy. You can't do more than that. Okay. That's one thing. So I had to open another mailbox because of that. And I kept telling people that it's better to find somebody close by instead of trying to come to me, because first of all, these things, there's a barrier of a distance. Not all things can be done at a distance, things like that. Eventually, because of the mails, flow of mails, I had to start my own small YouTube channel to answer a few very common questions that keep coming, because instead of replying to everybody, I thought that'd be easier way to just, explain to people, things like that. So yeah, in that sense, there has been more volume of whether it's abhichara, black magic, or spirit related problems that have come. Few of them that came after that, some were easier, some 1 or 2 were very difficult, but I will not go into explaining all of that. Yeah, it was a learning lesson for me also. Let's put it that way.
Okay. These are extremely advanced beings.
Very powerful, very dangerous.
In our Puranas, when you read about Asuras and Rakshas and demons also praying to Shiva, also praying to Ma. They are also gradually accumulating power from Shiva, from Ma.
Yeah.
Now, you as a human in this life, and probably in your past human lives, have also accumulated a certain amount of power. But say you've only been accumulating it for 200 to 300 years.
Yeah.
These might have been accumulating it for 20,000 years. So, though you're praying to the same deity, they just have a larger weapon to hit you with.
Right. So, correct. So, as we were discussing, so I'll explain this point.
Sure.
You're right. So, when I was, this specific case, when I was discussing with somebody, so who was more senior and experienced in these matters, he told me a very fantastic line that was a learning. Yeah, in a way. So he asked me that, how do you plan to deal with this specific case situation? So I said that, suppose I do XYZ of Bhagavan Bhairava, because he's very good in dealing with negative entities. He said, then that gentleman heard and he just smiled. And he said that, he asked me in Hindi, tum kitne saal se puja kar rahe ho Bhairav Baba ka? So I said, so many years. Okay. Say 10 years, say 20 years. Okay. 20 saal, 30 saal, jo bhi. Said that entity you are going to pick a fight with has been worshipping for 200, 300 years. Why do you think Bhairava will listen to you? So here is this interesting thing you learn from this thing. The cosmic devatas, gods, be it Shiva, etc., they are not only gods for humans, they're also gods for all these entities and all that.
They look at it in the same way that we do.
They have a tremendously detached view of things. They are not particularly invested or involved completely that, okay, I am partial to only this human race. Not like that. And our Puranas describe that there have been so many cycles of creation. One creation happened, didn't work out, got destroyed, etc. So it is not that they have any specific
You're talking about deities here.
devatas, great deities. Okay, great deities.
They don't care whether you're human, whether
No.
you're a Rakshas.
That's what. They are worshipped by everybody. It's not just the humans who are worshipping. They are worshipped by all these entities also. And we describe Shiva, one of the names of Shiva or Bhairava is Bhutesha, Lord of the Bhutas. Bhutas are spirits. They also worship. Okay. They also get scared of him. They also revere him. And he has this, in a way you can look at it, the magnanimity of the deity is that he accepts even that which is rejected by the normal human society. Okay. He is not saying no to them. Okay. And he has his ways of understanding and judging. So that was a lesson for me, that those entities, it was multiple actually, were far powerful, and it would be foolish to try and do something on my own without sufficient preparation, backup and other things involved. Okay. But thankfully that got resolved in a certain manner, though there were other troubles that happened. It wasn't easy. That too I credit to Ma Kamakhya, that eventually we found a way to put that into some kind of a semblance of order.
I know you can't describe the details of the story or anything, but can you give some input on how you battled with these things?
Well,
if you want to say no, you can.
No, I will not. Again, it will involve certain more details which I don't want to put out in a public
Okay.
like this. But in the process of dealing with these, so obviously, if at the end of the day, at a very simple level, if you are affected by, say, a spirit, small level spirit, so the way to go about it is that you do, say, protective measures of deities. Kavacha, for example. Kavacha is a kind of a stotra part, which is a protective armor that creates their energy of protection. Okay. All deities have their Kavacha.
Would Hanuman Chalisa count as that?
To a degree.
A soft one.
Softer one. But also because Hanumanji is kind and because people have a lot of devotion. So at the initial levels and all that, it is very good. At the initial levels. Most people will only encounter initial levels. What the levels I'm talking about, it is very rare to encounter these things. If you're very unfortunate, then you may, but it's rare. In India, the amount of these things that happen is still lower than it happens, as I was mentioning in some other places that happen.
Okay. You want to mention the other places? Wow. Okay. Like, to the audiences, your podcast, bhaiya, really wants to tell you, but I think it's actually better, it's ethical not to mention these things, because I'll tell you what, my learning from the last year doing so many horror podcasts has been that I invited that energy into my life. I was actually in a relationship with someone who was a bit of a psychic, and she would also talk about these things a lot. And I didn't know that about her until we actually started dating. So many people came on the show. There was a few rejected podcasts because I think people had just come on the show with bad intention. Including right after your shoot the last time, you remember, there was a lady who came. We haven't uploaded that episode, but while talking to her, I knew that this is not a correct energy. And that night, something happened to me. So I don't want to invite these things back into my life either.
Right.
I want to actually stop making horror podcasts, maybe once in a while.
Right.
But even I would like to. It's a good idea. Why do you think it's a good idea?
There's no end to the darkness. How deep will you go? And eventually, let me put it this way, there are people, specific types of people who deal exclusively with these things, by the way. Okay. There are people like that who deal exclusively with the negatives, and they go to an extreme extent where they might even capture a negative and use it for various purposes and all that. It may seem that suddenly you may find that as if the person has some divine power, etc. But how do you know the source of that power? See, that is where sadhana comes into play. There are certain mantra sadhanas, if you actually do them, okay, and you have done them properly, and you come across somebody who is manifesting some strange abilities, you have that mantra, you study that mantra, you practice that mantra, and you have attained to a certain degree of proficiency. You go near that person. If he is using something negative, it will immediately stop. Nothing will work. Only if he is getting blessings from some devata, proper devata, like Lord Shiva or Ma Durga or something like that, then it will continue. Anything lesser than that will stop. There are protective measures like this. So all it's like a battle, spiritual battle. Okay, there are armors from both sides. There are weapons from both sides. Okay, but yeah, remember that the other thing that I was saying is that people who deal with the negatives, even in the sense of trying to cure the negatives, for example, there are a lot of people who actually do these things more than actual sadhana.
Why?
Temperament, tendency, some kind of attraction they feel.
Material gain?
Material gain is one aspect of it, but there's also the thrill of it.
Of just dealing
Let's
with
just
the
say
darker.
that there is a, if you, as we were talking about astrology yesterday, Jyotisha, there are certain horoscopic combinations that you can easily make out. If this person enters into this field, he'll keep getting pulled and pulled.
More drawn to the darkness.
More drawn to the darkness. And I'm not even talking about material gains. That's the one aspect of it. That can happen. And a lot of people do that, by the way, even famous people. Okay. But I'm saying that that has an inherent pull in itself. Some people resonate to that pull, and they will go in, and eventually you'll get destroyed. There's no light anywhere coming out there.
When you're saying eventually you'll get destroyed, either you'll have a painful end to your life, and pain is not just physical, it could be an emotionally extremely painful end to your life. But more importantly, once you're on the other side, after you have gone past death,
yes,
I would like to know what happens there, because you've dealt with these entities, these darker entities for so long. What happens after that?
So after death is even more problematic, because most likely, so if you have been using one of these entities for whatever purposes, that individual will end up as a sort of a servant or a slave or something like that to that entity. And because these entities have tremendous lifetime is not like humans. We have like 70 years, 80 years or whatever. So these entities can live for 600, 700, 800 years. So you keep acting as a slave or a servant to that entity. And
For
you have
600 years.
You have no respite from there. And it's very painful. It's not like a human slavery and all that. Oh, it's a different thing altogether. Until somebody, if at all you have the punya karma, that somebody more powerful, higher, takes pity and draws you out of that mess. It's very unlikely. Okay. And apart from that, this is to post-death. Another thing that happens is that you are not alone. Remember this thing. You always have equations, which means father, mother, wife, children, brother, friends, something or the other is there. Right? So they are very much capable of affecting them. Because affecting them means it is going to cause stress to you. Because you are connected to everybody. They know this very well. Where is your weak point? Okay. Where do I hit you so that it hurts? They're very much capable of this.
How can they hit your relatives?
Oh, so many things. Suppose a relative has an accident suddenly. Immediately you have to rush there. You don't know. Somebody dies. Something happens. Some loss in your work. So many ways they can cause you stress.
How would it cause an accident?
I remember a true incident from your city here. I was not involved, but a friend, very close friend. So he was describing, I think he was maybe 11 or 12, one of the roads. I don't even remember which road it is, in Mumbai only. So I remember it vaguely, but it's the more contours of it, I'll tell you.
Sure.
So I think he was traveling and there is somebody driving in the car. And then they find some lady or somebody who just asks for a lift. It's pretty late in the night. So they take the lady in. She's sitting in the back of the car and they're driving. And even though we did not want horror, but it's still coming in. I'm just saying.
Sorry, sir.
But so after some time, suddenly he sees that his friend who's driving, he's like kind of the car, he stops the car, but it's more like a, almost accidental stop. And he jumps out of the vehicle, straight away crosses the road and is puking. And this guy, he also, kya hua hai? What happened? And he says that lady he was there suddenly sees in the mirror that her face is just a skull. Okay. And he immediately has an accident. And then they can't find the lady anymore. At that time, there was some, I think, temple or something close by, or I don't know, maybe a mosque or a temple. I can't remember exactly. Somebody from there comes in and says that this kind of an incident has been happening a lot of times in this road. People suddenly see you are driving something, suddenly in front of you see something horrific. So you lose control. You have an accident. You die. So many non-physical entities have a lot of ways in which they can manipulate your reality.
They can become visual happenings around you.
Visual, auditory,
Auditory.
even physical. There are cases where you might get physically beaten by these entities also. That also I've seen. But let me clarify, so that I do not get any more mails, that I don't deal with these things. So if something like this is bothering you, find somebody close by to help you out. Because there's only so much quota that I will take, not more than that, because humanly there is only so much you can do. That's the understanding, is to be very clear. Okay, what is your capacity, competency, and how much you can take and how much you should not take. What is it? There is sometimes prudence in avoiding things than in doing things.
Yeah. I tell all my podcast guests to only reply to mails if they truly feel that their heart is in that particular problem. Again, this is taking nothing away from my empathy towards the writers of the mails.
Right.
I feel bad for you. Yeah. I'm sorry. But you need to understand the human side of me and my guests. Like, empathize with us.
Right.
There are too many mails coming in to respond to everything. So, sorry.
That's all. Yeah.
Is that the reason you're not talking about like the scarier stuff? Because people...
No. Because some things are fresh. So let's...
Okay.
And because there are other people involved also. Okay. So I would not like to bring... If I bring out more details, so if not them, because these podcasts will be seen with a lot of people, so somebody close to them may find out something like this. They may find 2 that this perhaps is this guy. So I don't want, it's like a sort of a breach of privacy, which I don't want to do in that sense. Okay.
Fine.
But since we are on the topic, there's another one that I had to deal with, 2 which were very kind of nasty is the word for it. So Ma Kamakhya is like this. She said, okay, I'll show you.
Why did you ask for it?
I don't know, just the thought came.
Okay. After TRS.
Not necessarily after TRS. It was a few months after that. This happened around March.
Okay.
March. Okay. This was also a very nasty case of possession. A very bad case of possession. And with a lot of marks and a lot of there's a bit of sexual element involved. Okay. From spirits. It's possible. These things possible.
As in, they will take advantage of you sexually without your consent.
Yeah. Yes, they can.
Especially women.
No, it could be men also.
Really?
Yeah. Men, women, both.
Like a female spirit or a male spirit taking advantage sexually of you as a human being.
Yeah. Okay. That's possible. So there were some cases that I dealt with like that. So there was, very interestingly, though the entity was far off, but after some time it started manifesting certain kinds of attacks very close to me. Okay. And I had been warned of it, by the way, by one of my seniors, that be careful, ye hone wala hai, and it will happen at a time when you are when you have thought that sort of that you have brought things under control. Ye aa gaya hai. But they wait for the time when you are a little bit more relaxed, or when your own defenses may be a little down. Okay. So I woke up one day suddenly with high fever and things like that, out of the blue. There's no reason for it. And a lot of weakness, and some other signs were manifesting around, which told me that this is not at all normal. It's more like an attack that was there. But thankfully, then at the end of the day, I have a very strong group of spiritual friends and backups, which are always there. And also there is the Ishta Devatas. So about a week I was down with, physically down with fever and things like that. Because of that, then I recovered. And then me being me, so I started doing again to remove that entity. So because it becomes like a challenge thing. Okay. Usko karna hai. And sort of things eventually took a more stable condition. Let's put it this way. Okay.
You're battling through your place of practice, the same place that you do your sadhana?
When I did fall sick, I was not in my place of sadhana. Had I been in my home at that time, there's a good chance that nothing would have happened, because it has its own protections. I was traveling very intensely, going to a lot of places, like, hardly time to take rest. So travel itself makes you kind of weaker, because I am not able to do the full scope of the practices that I do daily on a regular basis if I'm at home. So I have to cut down on that, because there's hours and hours of traveling involved. Bare minimum I was doing. So automatically your aura becomes a little weak. Normal courses, it's fine. Nothing is going to happen. But if you are into these things, you are dealing with these things, then, and of course, the lesson in this that I learned was that, again, a bit of overconfidence, that I thought that, okay, I've brought everything. Oh, theek hai, koi kar lunga, etc., etc. But when I least expected, that's when this kind of attack manifested. Okay. On the other hand, the other thing is, as I mentioned, that if there are people who involve in these kind of, there are people who, as I mentioned, that, who like doing these kind of things. There is no foolproof defense, by the way. Remember this. There is no armor that cannot be broken. There is no defense that is completely foolproof. There is not like, I do this practice or that mantra or this meditation or that God. All that is fine. But there could be a darkness which you will not be able to handle. There is no end to the light. There is no end to the darkness. And beyond the darkness and light, there is the God sitting. They see both.
We had Gauranga Das on the show.
Okay.
From ISKCON.
Okay.
He spoke about 14 lokas.
Okay.
And how Earth is the middle loka. Mm-hmm. Above us there are higher worlds. Mm-hmm. Below us there are lower worlds. These entities are housed in those lower worlds?
Not all of them are actually in the lower worlds. Some of them may be in the intermediate worlds.
What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. So you are here, and let's just say the gods are here. Okay. Between you and the gods, there are many gradations of reality. Right. Some of them may be in some of these gradations of reality. Okay, which is a little higher than you, but far away from the gods. Okay. And they can cause trouble to you.
Okay. Now, I just want to be clear here. This is not like, even if you have a spaceship that's capable of achieving the speed of light, you won't be able to go to those worlds through a physical spaceship. Yes. It is another universe.
Right. It's not a physical thing. It's more, it's difficult to define it in the physical sense, but let's just say it's there.
Okay. It's another universe, basically.
Sort of.
And how do you go from our universe to that universe?
Death? Normal course. You may not actually go to those planes. After death, it depends on your karmas. Depends on your desires and the flux that is created through your karmas and your desires. And then nature decides where you might go. Okay. That's one thing. You might not pass through them. But on the other hand, you might pass through some of the layers which are closer to Earth. And then there are layers where there are beings who have never been born. They'll never be born. But they're not gods. They are more capable than you in some senses. But they also have their limitations. That is why they're not gods.
What are they?
Various things are there. Some of these entities are there. Whether it's the negative sense, then there are on the another sense, there are certain beings which are closer to the deities also. They have a lot of abilities. I don't know. I think maybe we spoke about them or not.
Gandharva.
Gandharva. Higher than that is there. But those are not going to affect you so badly, by the way. Okay. They don't interact with humans that much. Very rarely they come to the human planes. Then there are yoginis, yakshinis, various things are there. Okay.
What is their life's purpose? Spiritual growth.
Everybody has their own version of spiritual growth. Everybody has their own version of dharma.
Including the negative entities.
Yeah. Dharma means, in one of your podcasts only, I heard, I think she's a good friend, Ami Ganatra. Yeah. And I think she was explaining dharma in some case, in some spaces. And there was a very beautiful thing she said, and it stuck in my mind, that whatever practices, beliefs, activities that help to sustain a thing for a longer time. The positive sustainability is one of the key factors of dharma, and that I think is a very nice definition of dharma. So whatever helps to sustain, and for that, if there is something immediately harmful that needs to be done, then that is also part of dharma. For example, if you have a injury in your leg or something, you go to the doctor and says that, okay, we have to do an operation. So that's immediately painful. At the immediate moment, it can cause you pain. But at the end of the day, it will save your leg. Okay. So that is also dharma. So dharma is that which sustains. So any activity you perform that helps you to sustain the qualities that you need to sustain, by the way, not the negative qualities. That which makes you more divine sort of qualities, that takes you closer to the divine qualities. Anything that helps to sustain that, that is dharma. And dharma has two aspects. One is, of course, the physical aspect of what we do and do not do, and practices and social norms, ethics, these, that. And then there is the occult aspect. The occult aspect of dharma is worship of deities, Veda, Parayana, Adhyayana, and then there are different rituals that are there. All these are parts of dharma. Okay, they also, so dharma is not entirely a completely physical realm thing. It is also the spiritual realm and the occult realm things, that which, if performed, will help you sustain here and help you grow. Similarly, these entities have their own dharma. They have their own sense of what they consider as growth. It may not be your growth, by the way. So for a negative entity, they may think that if I become more negative, that is my dharma.
Or still, if I kill.
Whatever has to be done for that. So they'll do that.
What is their interest in human life?
It's a difficult question to answer, but I feel because human beings are good toys to play with. Because humans are very easy to influence.
Like we are like the dolls, Barbie dolls, Ken dolls.
Sort of. And that is one thing. But the other thing is that these worlds they inhabit are not physically far away from where you are. It's in the physical space, but it's like a different dimension kind of thing. Okay.
As in you go into a very creepy looking hut or a house in the middle of nowhere, and you feel a certain eeriness. You don't know what it is. There's no one there, but you just feel it's very heavy and you want to get out. They're probably there.
Perhaps. Okay. We can't fully say yes or no, but yeah.
This happens to me a lot in forts. Abandoned forts,
right,
which you have a lot of in Maharashtra itself. There used to be one in Sivri, which is next to Vadala. It's a old Siddhi fort. Siddhis were the African warriors who were brought in by the Mughals to combat the Maratha Empire when it was on its rise. And that fort was won and lost by both sides continuously.
Okay.
The moment you enter the fort, first the architecture hits you, second the vibe hits you. You go into certain places, you just know you're supposed to not be there. It becomes dark, you know you're supposed to get out.
Correct.
I have a bath every time I've left that fort, saltwater bath, just to wash it off. Because that place has seen so many battles, it's probably seen so much pain. And the one thing I know about a lot of ghosts, and I'm not talking about demonic entities here, one thing I know about a lot of ghosts is that sometimes they don't know that they're ghosts themselves. And they're trying to interact with you, saying, hey, why aren't you talking to me? But in truth, you can't even hear them. And you just feel that heaviness sometimes after you visit that place, but a lot of forts in general. Do you feel this when you visit certain historical monuments?
Yes.
Same reason.
Same reason. There is a certain, I can't describe it in words, but a different kind of feeling which is not positive that comes in. So you understand that there is most likely the presence of some entities here. And not just ghosts, there could be even entities more powerful than them. Okay, as we had discussed earlier. So these things are there.
Pret Peshach.
These things are there. I believe, so I also believe that anybody who specifically pursues these things for whatever reason, as I said, there are people who actually, who like going and curing sort of these things. It's not just the money or anything, it's more the thrill of a thing. Ki main kar sakta hu, etc. Eventually, end of the day, you will lose. Let me put it this way. It's just a matter of time. When are you going to lose?
What is loss?
Loss is that somebody one day or the other you will encounter one of those entities whom you cannot defeat, who will defeat you, and their defeat is finished. They're not leaving. There's not a second chance.
Like they'll kill you.
Cause so much damage, not just kill. You may lose your mind. You may be completely turn up psychotic. Lot of things can happen. Lot of things.
What is this lose your mind angle?
Lose your mind means you lose your mental stability. Then people will put you into some asylum or somewhere. They'll think that you have gone crazy.
So if you go to a mental asylum right now, there could be people who have actually done exactly that.
I can't say, but I'm just saying that if somebody pursues this path endlessly, eventually one day or the other, you will fall.
What is the spiritual aspect of losing your mind? How can these entities actually go into your brain and play with your neurons?
No. Your thoughts.
They can influence your thoughts.
Very easily. One of the typical ideas in yoga, Sri Aurobindo used to say that just about most of the thoughts that you get in your head are not yours in the first place.
Whose thoughts are there?
And somebody else's, something that is floating in the air. Sometimes there's a pattern of thoughts that come recurringly to certain individuals, etc. So none of it is yours. It's like yours, you're just an open receiver that comes in. But a receiver with an ego. So moment a thought comes in, your ego attaches itself to it and you think, oh, I am thinking about it. And this knowledge, if somebody has, and somebody is advanced enough, you can even plant a thought in somebody's head.
As a human being.
Oh, yes. And they will think that I am thinking about it. And then they will act according to the thought.
This is like that Vashikaran mantra.
No, that uses something else. That's another zone that uses... this is more subtle. It's very difficult to explain. The influence of this is very subtle. If somebody does it, very subtle. Thoughts are subtle. Thoughts are not heavy. But these things like Vashikaran is that you feel a physical urge to be at a certain place or with a certain individual.
A physical urge to be at a certain place or with a certain individual.
As if somebody is physically pulling you.
Why don't you explain a little bit about what Vashikaran mantra is?
No. Vashikaran is, there are Shatakarmas that are there possible in Tantra. Okay. Shatakarmas means 6 types of kriyas. Okay. Active rituals, broad classification. One is the Shanti Karma. Shanti is peace. Anywhere you need peace, in a home, in an environment, something like that, you do Shanti Karma. Then there is something Vashikaran, Sammohan, etc. Vashikaran is to bring somebody under your control. Okay, it could be anything, anybody. Okay, you do certain rituals to do that. Sammohan is a mild attraction you produce in somebody.
Mild attraction.
Yeah, Vashikaran is more tivra.
Intense.
As I said, Vashikaran, if it is done on somebody, properly done, and that person has no resistance to these things, so he or she will feel a physical need to be at a certain place or meet a certain individual or go there or do something. You will not be able to resist it so easily unless you have certain... If you do spiritual practices that acts as a, something that protects your aura from these things.
Okay.
Generally saying.
Okay. Before you move forward in the explanation, you want to explain what those other 6 are?
Yeah. So then there is Shanti, Vashikaran, Sammohan, Uchchatan.
Sammohan is
mild attraction.
Then Uchchatan. Which is?
Uchchatan is to remove somebody from a place.
Like a position.
No, it could be on anything for that matter. So you live in a particular city and a particular house. Suppose somebody does something like that. So within suddenly 2-3 days, you'll feel, no, I have to leave this city, I have to leave this house. I can't stay here anymore. Just leave and go.
Okay.
And until you go, you'll not be satisfied in the heart.
Okay.
That is Uchchatan. Okay. Then Uchchatan, how many did we cover? 4. Uchchatan, Maran. Okay. Vidveshan. Vidveshan is basically causing conflict between individuals. Okay. It can be done on 2 or 3 individuals. It can be done in a group also. Okay. And then finally it is Maran. Death producing ritual. It's there. And these were supposed to be used in extreme cases. So if you remember, I think when we were doing the last time when we was doing the podcast, I had mentioned one key thing, and I tell that to people. The root of all this is the human heart. In your office, you have a fight with somebody, you think that wo agar bhag jaye na office chhod ke to bahut acha hai. So your Uchchatan started there.
These are just means to manipulate reality to get that thought
amplified. It's like basically Tantra is saying that if you want to do that, I'll show you how to do it better. But whether you want to do or it's up to you. And the responsibility will also come to you.
As in the outcome of that karma.
Yeah, definitely.
So for example, if someone does a Vashikaran mantra on a girl or guy that they wish to
entice.
Yeah. What will be the outcome of that?
There is going to be some repercussion obviously on the it depends on you cannot say it like this. Why? Because you do a particular mantra on somebody and suppose the person loses his or her mind or does something very drastic.
Like what?
Anything can happen. You do say they commit suicide, okay, because they're not able to feel satisfied or whatever it is, jo bhi hai. So you can, that's where that phrase also comes in. Remember we were talking yesterday, you mentioned from the Gita that the karma is very deep thing in this sense, because until and unless there is physically what is manifesting out of it, so you can do this activity and you think that okay, XYZ person will come to me, but what if the person is not coming to you? What if the person has some resistance? So there is going to be some pull and there is some inner resistance. And this conflict reaches a point that they're not able to function properly. They lose their job. They end up in a hospital. They get back. So you are basically accumulating. One trigger has caused so many other negative things. All that negative is going to come back to you. Not just one thing. Every bit of negative that person is facing is going to come back to you.
This is what the world would call black magic. All these things.
This is just application of mantra shakti.
Is there a positive version
Why
of
not?
These same things?
I'll tell you now, coming back to Kamakhya, we have gone too much into this. One of the recorded, one of the chroniclers during the Mughal times and others, I forgot the name of the chronicler. So he records that the Mughal emperor Aurangzeb could not gather an army to attack Kamakhya. Why? Because the last time there was an attack, apparently an army of 1 lakh people vanished in the forests while coming towards attacking Kamrup. Kamrup is the region. Okay, only the horses and things were left. Men had vanished, and they believe it is because of the occult power of Kamakhya.
Wow. So
here is a foreign power that is going to attack you. You are free to use all the 6 rituals.
Ooh. It's like you take out your weapons.
Absolutely. And also you fight physically and you fight astrally.
Yeah, this has come up on the show. We had Radhakrishnan Pillai, who's dedicated his life to Chanakya. Okay. And Chanakya also used to use the occult during war.
Yes. It is absolutely legitimate to use it.
It's the same 5-6 things that you spoke about?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that the technique to use them includes mantras as well as yantras.
Lot of other things are there.
Lot of other things.
Yes.
Mudras.
Many things. Vastu is one of the most key things.
Clothes?
No. That is vastra. Vastu means basically objects. What is it to be used? Specific. Every object in the world has a specific energy. Tantra also uses this thing, which is that let me combine this specific object. Certain roots of certain plants collected on specific tithis. So time is important. You can't just pick up any day from specific places. Energize with certain mantras. Keep it in your place. Certain changes will start happening within a few months. These are all parts of Tantra. Those who have that knowledge.
I want to break down this Aurangzeb situation a little bit because I have some historical context here as well. What I will mention though for listeners is that if you pick up any Witchcraft 101 book which is written from a Western perspective, a Celtic perspective which developed in Europe, they talk about witchcraft rituals in those where it's the same thing. There is a spell made through words, there is objects included, and there is timing and certain positions you're supposed to sit in. Which takes me back for a brief moment to the start of the podcast where I say that these are all human story related realities where the world is not as simple as scientific as you would like to believe while growing up. Now coming back to this example of Aurangzeb attacking Assam, I believe historically the Ahom dynasty was in Assam at that time, and they are regarded with reverence because I think it was the one part of India where
the Mughals could not conquer or even conquer for any significant period of time.
And you're saying that there was definitely an occult energy?
Yes. Behind all things that happen here, specifically mega things, there's always an occult energy. Always.
Behind all things that happen here means?
In this plane. That is significant.
You mean if there is a massive event?
Yeah, it has an imprint in the occult even before it happens.
Let's begin this tangent of the show by asking you a simple question. How do you define the occult? What do you even mean?
That which you cannot see.
Magic.
You call it magic, you call it whatever, that which you cannot see, but does not mean that it does not exist. See, to give a very rough example, suppose the electromagnetic force, you can't see that force, but it exists. It causes some effect somewhere, right? You can measure it, you have the mathematics for it, but have you seen it?
Wind.
Or gravity, have you seen it? So it's like that in some ways, not exactly. Let's not bring too much of science into it. Science is good in its own domain, this is good in its own domain.
Based on your knowledge of the occult, what do you think actually happened when those 1 lakh?
There's so many things. Kamakhya is endless. Endless. What the caliber of yogis, tantric yogis that have been there in past. Right now, though, it's much more reduced form. One of the principal reasons is that so many people go there. The more number of people go there, the really powerful things will go in the background. It's not meant for the masses.
The really powerful thing.
Yeah, of course. That's the natural thing. The more there is a crowd, the more is the lower common denominator of the spirituality that will be present there.
Wow. So isolated temples.
Why do you think the Himalayas are so powerful? How many people go there? So like that.
I am a bit confused here, and I'll tell you why. Because of what we spoke about, the deity wishing for more people to know about Kamakhya and bringing more people there.
Yes. So exactly. So there's nothing to be confused here. So for her reasons, why she knows best, Ma Kamakhya may decide that from now on, I want more people to come here. So there is a certain level. So what the deity can do, Ma Kamakhya can do, for example. I'm saying can do. Obviously, I don't know. She hasn't come and told me. But I'm assuming, looking at the way things developed over the last 10, 15 years, and I've been going there for a long time, I can see the influx of crowds. So she may decide that, okay, she will spread her influence in a curtailed manner. If she is capable of this much influence, this much she will spread, but to a lot of people. And that will benefit a lot of people. उससे ज़्यादा चाहिए भी नहीं लोगों को.
Slightly smaller magnitude,
Yes.
but at scale.
That.
Are there temples where you're not supposed to go?
No, it's not like that. Again, it's all individualistic.
Okay.
I remember a guru who had a disciple, a fantastic guru, one of the most siddha gurus generally. So he had told his disciple that he had drawn a geographical area. So outside of this, if you visit any temple, immediately negative things will start in your life. He tried one day in a very simple Vaishnava temple only. Not even some Kamakhya and all that, there's an occult association. No, simple Vaishnava temple. Immediately that day, he had such a huge rakas at home and all that. After that, he never steps out. Why? I don't know. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. But that Guruji was very powerful. I know he was extremely advanced and rare human being. He had guided me in some other things also. So that's why I know that he's not my guru, but what he guided me was more than I have 3 gurus, perhaps more than what my gurus have taught me. It was his kindness.
This is like thought patterns as well as techniques. That's what I'm assuming you basically get from your gurus. Thought patterns as well as techniques.
Techniques, yes. Thought patterns, I don't know what you mean by thought patterns.
The way to look at a particular circumstance.
Yes, many things. I remember when once I was stuck at one stage of sadhana, I needed some clarity on the next stage. I did not know what to do. So I thought, there's a group of seniors, people, certain advanced people, whom I revere and whom I consult if I am confused about something. So I asked one of them, and he said that, do one thing, do an Anushthan of your Devata. Anushthan is something we spoke about in the last podcast, specifically Anushthan. So I did an Anushthan of Bhairava. Okay. It took me about 1.5 months with full mantra japa. Then there was homa. Then there's a process called tarpan. Tarpan is you satisfy the deity with water. Okay. Specific, not just normal water. You take water that has been mixed with, say, chandan and other, purified and smells good, something like that. Tarpana, marjana and all the things were done. After I did that, within a month's time, I came into contact with the most powerful person I've ever interacted in my life, whom I never got to see, by the way, because he was not interested in showing himself. And he ensured before his death that he burned all his photos, so that even by mistake, I don't keep his photo at home.
But how did he communicate?
There was a chain of people, intermediaries between me and that individual. And I used to, if I had a question, actually it started this way that he, my initial impression was that there's some astrologer guy like that, somebody. I had a friend, that friend just out of curiosity had sent some horoscope to him. Okay. His horoscope. And he gave some few general statements and all that. I remember that friend one day called me. He's messaged me that, whenever you're free, give me a call. So I was in my sadhana and finished and all that. I said, kya hua hai? So he said that, there's this guy. He's apparently an astrologer, local small village astrologer and all that. He gave certain readings. I wanted to listen to those readings. I said, okay, tell me. So he's telling the readings. First, second, third point. By that third point, he comes. My mind is like, oh, this is not astrology. I have sufficient amount of astrological knowledge, and I've met enough astrologers, and I've seen enough, and I know that what is the level of depth to which you can go in astrology. ये चीज astrology से possibly नहीं है. He is using something else. Okay, I said the impossible, and then I became curious. I said that I'll send my horoscope if he's ready to read it. I want to see what he has to say. And then he sent me a reading, and I was blown out of my mind. How the hell is he saying this? He is telling me so many days ago you were sitting in your puja room and this thought crossed your mind. You did not act on it. Why did you not act on it? If you had acted, XYZ would have happened. Now there's that. He is telling me dates and all that you are in this temple at that place. This is the environment. This is the tithi. This is the sadhana you were doing. This is the result you saw in front of me. And nobody in the world knows about it. I did not speak because it was a terrific experience. I spoke to nobody about it ever. Kept it silent. And I'm like stunned. It's as if he's sitting there and he saw it. Okay. And I remember I told my friend that ये ज्योतिष के बाहर है. ये no astrologer in the world will be able to do this. I know enough astrologers, very good, famous and all that. And I know कि किसका कितना औकात और कितना capability है. But this is not astrology. Something else. Then I figured out that he is a siddha. It is the deity who is telling him. Astrology is like the cover he puts up that I'm just an astrologer for most people. Okay. And it's a very peculiar life. He taught me so many things about sadhana. After that, though, he was like, I used to send a question and he used to send me guidance and isko aise karna hai, waise karna hai. 10-15 years I've been going to Kamakhya. I've had many wonderful experiences. Then one day he sends me a message that I'm sending a specific sadhana. Go and do in Kamakhya. फिर देखो क्या होता है. The result was so powerful. For a year, even thinking about it would make the hair on my. It was amazing, out of the blue. Why? How did he get it? It's not he who is telling it. It's his Ishta Devata who is telling him that इसको बोलो कि ये करे जाके वहाँ पे.
The moment you said that you knew someone who was very evolved, my first question was going to be, you think he'd do a podcast? And then I realized
no, he was a person of very fiery temper. Very fiery temper.
Why do you say he had a peculiar life?
Because I know his life. He told me, he was kind enough. Because knowing his life, he told me for the simple reason that by knowing his life, I got to understand many things about sadhana. Okay, I understood more about sadhana by reading about his life, which he had written and sent to me, than reading 1,000 books and various other things.
Can you truly learn sadhana just by reading books?
No.
Someone has to teach you.
Yeah, you will have to. And this is the guarantee of nature. If whatever you have learned from the books, the basics, whatever it is, say you are doing Hanuman Chalisa or simple Devi Mantra. Okay. If you are sincerely doing it, and you are doing it for sufficient amount of time, and there is a shift inside that has happened, there will be people who will come and guide you. Whether they officially call themselves as guru or not, वो तो secondary है. But they will come and guide you.
You have to be open to it.
You have to open to it. But you have to be sincere in your own practice.
Let's break this down a little bit. Because you said that this is one of the most common questions you get asked.
Yes.
And this is not a very exciting question or an exciting answer, I'm sure, but it's a very important question and answer.
Yes.
How does one find a guru?
So it's difficult and also easy. Difficult because the question has an assumption. When people say that how do I find a guru, they are assuming that they will have a top grade guru who will guide them. Why do we have this assumption? Because we read a lot of spiritual literature, people who are interested. So you have read autobiography of a yogi or some other text, and there is Mahavatar Babaji, and in your mind you are fantasizing ki Mahavatar Babaji aayega, Himalaya se mere ko diksha deke chala jayega. So people, everybody has that, by the way. Okay, some subconscious desire that some fancy exceptional guru will come. There is also the reason why this is happening, because culturally we are told to revere the gurus, which is correct in my opinion. Okay, but I also feel, and I have myself passed through wrong gurus also. People who projected that they have certain knowledge or certain things, and then I realized that it was all more or less stories. Okay, and I left them. So Shastras mention. So first of all, before you go into a guru, let's just break it down into a simple format, something that can be easy to follow for an individual. First of all, you start some practice. Don't wait for a guru to come. Okay, a guru is absolutely necessary if you are into two types of practices. One is if you actually want to do proper Tantra sadhana, formal, then you will need a guru for the initiation purposes. That is necessary. Okay. Proper Tantra sadhana. You will need a guru to initiate you. Okay. If you want that, where are such gurus? There are many gurus like this. And if you have to do very complicated yogic practices, what I mean by yoga is not the standard definition that you see in TV and all that, weight loss yoga and all that. Wo to apna jo karna hai karo. But I am saying yoga that will manipulate your breathing to the various asanas and various pranayamas and all those things in order to have a spiritual experience. There a guru is mandatory, because if you make some mistakes, it will have a repercussion on the body. Okay, that is why. So I feel that in today's age, the best alternative for people is to do Devata Upasana. Simple Devata Upasana. Nothing complicated. And Shastras give you that opportunity. They tell you various stotras or Shastra Namas, 1000 names of a deity. Shiva Shastra Nama. Such a beautiful thing to do. I've recommended that to so many people. On Mondays, you do it and pour water on Shivalinga. Narmadeshwar Shivalinga, Baneshwar they call it. If you do it for a few months, things like depression, all that will start reducing.
I want to talk about like modern day Hindus who look down upon rituals like this, because as kids we were just told to do these things without an explanation. And now as we are turning 30, the explanation is available on YouTube. There are meanings behind the rituals.
Yes.
If you just blindly do those rituals, of course, there won't be any kind of an impact.
No, even then there will be an impact.
Oh, really?
Let's put it this way. To give you an example, when you are in school, when a child goes to school for the first time, so teacher is teaching him how to, these are the numbers, how to add. Ask him that what is the use of this? He has no idea. He's a child. He is doing it because his teachers are telling him. He grows up, then he goes to the local grocer to buy something. His mother has sent him something. Then he understands, okay, the reason why I need to know the numbers and addition is because I need to calculate and all that. That's one example I'm giving you. Okay? So initial stages, if you, and not just in spirituality, in anything else, if you expect that you will have the complete understanding and then only I will start, you will never be able to start. Your journey is over. Start with some degree of faith on the deity and certain mantras. You will not understand everything, but as you change yourself through the sadhana, understanding will also come to you. Okay. And the rituals are very beautifully designed. It's like it's an art. Whoever created the rituals, the pattern of the rituals, as you go deeper, you will understand through the... It's a joy. Rituals are a joy. Okay, rituals are not to be looked down upon. On the contrary, rituals make it far more vibrant, the practice. Beautiful it becomes. You will absolutely enjoy it. Now, coming to what we were discussing about the guru point. So, I feel that for other things, you start your own sadhana. Number one. Number two, you decide what is the path suitable for you. Okay. And accordingly, find a guru of that path. So if you are into some kind of yogic practice, good, go to the yogic practice. If you think that, no, I want a Vaishnava Diksha, you like Vishnu or forms of Vishnu or Krishna, so go to places where Vaishnavas are more prominent. Say go to Vrindavan or go to some other big Vaishnava temple. Speak to people there. Say that I want an initiation. I want to practice this. Whom should I approach? Okay. So one of the problems I find when people ask that how do I get a guru? So all they do is sitting in front of the computer and they're assuming कि guru computer से आ जाएगा बाहर निकल के. So get out, meet people, take your time, not 1-2 days. Take a year's time. Roam around, meet people. First determine which is the path I want. One of the major problems people have this, as I mentioned, they have this fantastic idea that out of the blue they're walking on the street, suddenly somebody will manifest and कुछ हिमालय से कुछ आने वाला है. कुछ नहीं आने वाला है. कोई नहीं आने वाला है. Because you are not that good. Let's put it this way. Nature has degrees. The concept of adhikara is very prominent in nature. Nature is not a democracy. If you go into stand on a mountain, okay, today, and you shout that why am I alive? Where is God? कहाँ से जवाब आएगा? कुछ नहीं. Nature doesn't care about you. Nature cares depending on what is your level of adhikara. Adhikara means your rights. Rights are subjective to your capacity and competency.
And past karma.
All those are figured in the capacity competency. Your capacity competency rises to a certain level. तुम घर पे बैठो वहीं पे आंसर ढूंढते हुए तुम्हारे पास आ जाएगा. You don't have to go anywhere else. And if you are not capable, not competent, you can go to pillar post everywhere. Himalaya to the ocean. No answers will come. But if you still are desperate and you can't read nature, so if an answer is not coming, if you're searching for a guru and is not appearing, perhaps nature is saying that it's not the time to go to a guru. So what do? Make the best of the current situation. Sit at home and do sadhana. Okay. But if you are still desperate, then you may end up with a wrong guru or a wrong individual or somebody who is not competent enough. There are good gurus and there are false gurus also. Both of them are there. That's the reality. We cannot deny that. I've seen both. So that's why I know. So first thing is that focus on your own sadhana. Build a base of sadhana. Something that you can do even without a guru. And then pray to the devata that, and this is the beauty of it, if your sadhana is going well, and it may take time. It's not, don't expect anything to happen in 3 months, 4 months. Spend few years. In fact, I tell people this, something that I learned from that Siddha Purusha that I was talking about. Until you have actually consistently worshipped a deity for 3 to 4 years, anything else that happens very fast is not going to last. Minimum 3 to 4 years of worship is required on a regular basis, properly.
Until the techniques actually come into your life?
No, until the bonding is formed with the devata properly.
Wow.
3 to 4 years.
And that worship could be as simple as talking to the deity, thinking that it's your friend and doing a mantra jap. Simple mantra jap. Say somebody does Om Bhairavaya Namah. That's a simple mantra anybody can do. Om Bhairavaya Namah.
That's a Nama mantra of Bhairav Baba. Okay, you do few malas or something. Say, and you do that consistently for 3 years. Your test is, don't expect experiences. Your test is that can you do it every day for 3 years?
How many times?
Up to you. That you determine. I'm not even telling how many times. Okay, whether you do one mala, which means that 108 times, 5 minutes ka puja karo, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever you do. But fix a thing and do it consistently. And obviously, if you're serious about spiritual growth, then it should be a little substantial. Like if you do just 1 minute or 2 minutes of it, then it will take you perhaps 1,000 years, God knows. I'm just saying. So you have to do it 25 minutes to 30 minutes at least. In your 24-hour schedule, at least 25 to 30 minutes should be there. Now, whether you have concentration, whether you like it or not, leave all that aside. Just do it. First test is, are you able to do it in a disciplined manner for a few years? 3 to 4 years. That creates your bond.
Okay.
First step. 12 years you do. You are set for life.
What does that mean?
That means that 12 years is like a cutoff period.
What happens after that?
After that, then the deity will take over. If your sadhana is correct. Correct means what I say is that follow the shastras. More or less, broad guidelines at the initial stages. Don't experiment outside of what is there in the shastras, because that is the accumulated wisdom of thousands of years of people with far greater caliber than you and me.
Can a very evolved person, a Siddha Purush, an Aghori who's been practicing for years, become evil at a very high spiritual level?
Evil. Evil in what sense?
A very low level example of this would be, these Gurujis who then become powerful. They initially start spiritually, they grow, they do good in the world. And then at some point, lust takes over.
Yeah.
And
That's possible. That's possible. But more or less, that happens when there is deep down the spiritual desire is not there.
like, it's not about connecting with God.
Yeah,
It's
not about connecting with the deity or anything, but it's about more acquiring power or finding some quick techniques or something like that. And the methods of mantra shastra are so powerful that if you follow those rules and correctly do certain sadhanas, you might acquire certain abilities. But that does not mean that they're necessarily spiritual or dharmic or something that is that will take you to the right direction in which humanity should go, ideally. So you can then misuse, but the law of karma is ruthless. It will catch up with you. You will fall eventually. In fact, not just today. What do we see in the evidence of the Shastras? There are asuras who have ruled for thousands of years. How did they rule? They did those practices. They acquired a lot of power. They defeated the ordinary realm of gods, defeated asuras, defeated everybody. They kept ruling for thousands of years until one of the, whether Shiva or Vishnu or Devi, somebody or the other, finally decides to put an end to their reign, and there's a huge fight, and then they defeat them. So if they have ruled for thousands of years, smaller version of that will always be there in this age.
Okay. I think we've almost reached the end of this episode. What I will say is that when I was a kid, I had a very limited understanding of how the world works. And I was always in my own creativity, drawing things, making up stories in my head. And I just get to express that as a YouTuber now. Creative job. But when I was a kid, I had an overly active imagination. So when I would look at adults interacting with each other, or if I'd be out with my family and then look at another group of adults, I'd always think that I feel like, what if these guys are actually hidden superheroes? What if it's Peter Parker talking to Bruce Wayne, talking to someone else? And then at night, they become superheroes. It was just a weird thing my imagination drew out. But as I kept that thought marinating in my head, I realized that there is some version of adulthood that's hidden from children. One aspect of that is sexuality, which I didn't know even existed that time. But I knew there's something related to superpowers, and I didn't know what it was. I just inherently, intuitively knew that some people around me have these superpowers which they're hiding. And I was always looking for those answers as I grew older. And then the podcast has taught me that there are people like Rajarshi Nandy.
No, I have no superpowers. I'm just an ordinary person. That's it. But yeah, there are people with all kinds of things, abilities, and it's a very fascinating world.
In cities, in the places that you're living in the places that you're listening to this podcast, and if you're driving through the city, there's all sorts of things happening in the closed houses around you. That's true.
Yeah.
That's one thing you've realized.
Yes, it is there. But yeah, there is a level till which it will be there in the cities, which is also can be very high. But there is a level beyond this also, which cannot be reached while living in cities, current cities, because they're so overpopulated. But yeah, strange things happen in cities. I'll just mention one incident.
Sure.
I remember since we started with Devi, but we went various places.
I think it's all Devi.
In a way, it is all her domain. Okay, everything is her domain. So coming to Ma Tara, let's bring it back to Ma Tara, that part. The way we look at Ma Tara is that we worship Ugra Tara. Ugra Tara is a very fierce form of Ma Tara. Whereas to my understanding, the Buddha conception of Tara, they have 21 different Taras and various grades of Taras, very mild to more extreme forms of Tara. And Tara is ubiquitous almost in the Buddha realm in a way. Okay. So, but the Hindu Tara is a Mahavidya. Okay. Mahavidya means a great knowledge. She has 3 primary forms. One is known as Eka Jata. Eka Jata means she has one Jata, one hair. Okay. Jata, I don't know what you call it in English.
Braid,
one hair. Eka Jata. Neela Saraswati. Saraswati is blue. And then there is Ugratara. Ugratara is very fierce. She is the fastest of all Mahavidyas, in my opinion. But she also comes with a lot of Tandav. Okay. She's very fast in helping. And she has helped me many times. But when she makes her appearance, she's going to rearrange things in certain ways. And she's going to, one experience I know, one very good upasaka, basically you have to have certain steadiness to worship her, properly worship her. One thing is that, again, if you have devotion, general devotion to her, no problem. Everybody in the world can have general devotion. You can go to the Tarapit temple and other temples of Matara, no problem at all. Okay. But if you say that, no, I want to attain a closeness with her, then you should have the fitness to do that. Okay. One upasaka at night was doing Tara Mantra, very fierce Tara Mantra, Ugra Tara Mantra at home. Okay. Deep at night. And there was a Sankalpa. Sankalpa means you can't get up until you finish the certain count of japa. You are doing that. I think he lived in the 4th or 5th floor or something like that. Middle of the night, and he's doing the japa, and suddenly on the window there's banging. Tak, 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 tak. And there's nobody who can climb up there. It's impossible. But you can't get up because you're in the Sankalpa. That is how you test your nerves. She comes with a force. Her Bhairava is Akshobhya. Akshobhya is one who's unshakable. So you have to imbibe that tattva of her to be unshakable. Once you do that, then it is beautiful. She is super fast. She is beautiful. But she comes, it's like you if you invite a tiger in the home, even if the tiger scratches you a little bit, you can get a little hurt, right? So you have to understand that, and you have to, if you are okay with it, wonderful. She's the deity who helps maximum in cremation grounds. If somebody can connect to her, maximum help comes from her. She's very fast. She's like that light that comes in a cremation ground is a very dark place. If you go to remote cremation grounds, it's a completely dark space. There's nothing there. They did talking about remote ones specifically. The only light in the cremation ground is from the pyre that is burning. That light is psychologically like Matara. In a very complete darkness, she is the light. Tara is like the sky is where everything is dark. When you are navigating, somebody is navigating, you look at the stars and you get direction. She is the one who gives you the direction from there. But she has Ugra Tara. There's a fierceness in her, inherent in her. And those who love that fierceness, they love the fierce form of the mother. Eventually, you have to learn proper Shakta, I believe, is somebody who has to learn to love the mother in her extreme fierceness and also in an extreme beauty and Somya form. Ugrati Ugra Somyati Somya, the most fierce of the fierce. The same deity can suddenly turn the softest of the soft. There is Lalita Chupur Sundari, the most beautiful form of the mother. Most beautiful. Enchanting. She's Kameshwari, this repository of all desires. She creates desires in human beings, in everything. Without desire, the world is going to stop. Nothing is going to. Every desire is in her domain. Okay? And then there is Kali. Absolute raw force. When Ma Kali's force, somebody experiences, it's like there is no compromise in there. It is. I don't know how to describe it. It's like the one thing that is there. There is a degree of madness needed in the upasaka to be able to be close to her. There's no compromise. She's full. She's the most. In a way, it is beautiful. Beauty is subjective, so you can look at it anyway. Then there is Chinnamasta, one of the Mahavidyas. She is to be invoked in cases where there are things that are very extreme. Absolute negativity is there. Worst kind of negativity that you can imagine. Then her sadhanas and then her mantras, her prayogas come into play, and they have a very strong impact. Then there is Ma Baglamukhi who can stop everything. At a higher level, even stop. This may sound very weird to the more skeptical minded people, but the Shastras will tell you worship of her can give you the ability to stop natural things. Stop the wind, stop a rain, stop a cloud. Stambhana. Stop negative entities. Stop positive entities. You can stop everything. It's Shakti Upasana is beautiful. Endless.
I felt like this wasn't you talking all these things. Why did you say all these things?
I don't know, just an inspiration came.
Okay.
Then I followed it.
Yeah. I think it's a good point to end this podcast.
Yeah.
Even though I have more questions, maybe in the next episode. Thank you again, Rajarshi sir.
Thank you, and Joy Ma.
Joy Ma. I'm a little speechless, but lots more questions coming up soon.
Thank you.
This was just part 1. I highly recommend you check out part 2 if you're listening to this podcast more than a month after it's released. And if part 2 hasn't released yet, we have an entire series that we've done with Rajarshi Nandy. We have Hindi episodes as well. Please check out those. I think we've done about 10 episodes with this legend, and every episode has different content. He's one of the most elaborately well-educated human beings that we've had on the show when it comes to his own subject matter. So if it's anything related to Tantra or spirituality, he's your person. Please consume more of Rajarshi Nandy. If you enjoyed this particular episode, TRS will be back very soon.